Hi, I'm Graham from Second Era of Moles, and if you clicked on this video accidentally, 90 seconds is all I ever ask. Welcome back to another week that was on Pokemon Masters X. It's been another busy one this week. We've had Champion Stadium as always, the Battle Villa has reopened, the Masters of Land and Sea event has been going on. We've had lots of new events land this week, so we've had the Ancient Brawl. Caused a lot of consternation for a lot of people, that one did. We've got Solgaleo back in the beast that devours the sun. We've got some new battle points challenges. The daily rotation has launched for that. The fire puppy Entei has returned in the legendary arena. And a new chapter has been added to the story mode. So let's dive into the Champion Stadium and see how we got through that one this week. In round one of the Champion Stadium this week, you've got the status conditions last longer, are more likely to take effect and do more damage. Well, Will was weak to poison this week, so what could you do but run a poison trap on this one? I would have done a poison stall with Janine as well, but as always Will has impervious, so his stats can't be lowered and it's not really worth lowering the stats of the side ones. So I went in with Koga, Masquerain and Viola, and Misty and Starmie, getting the old poison stall dodge gang back together there. In terms of your points, this week I wanted to see if you could do a poison stall with strength-based conditions, so that's why there's a lot of strength-based ones in there this week. Always like to put no stats reductions on when you're facing Will. He has that naturally anyway with his impervious, so free 100 points there. And because it's a poison trap, you have Koga setting poison, Viola setting trap, Misty is going to do some healing and raise special defense for this one, and you just kind of let itself play out. Mine would have played out a lot better if I'd have managed to poison the one on the right. It was either a Sarina or a Marini. I can't quite picture in my head which one it was. I managed to poison the other two, didn't quite get around to poisoning that one because I wanted to make the Xatu faint, and well, luckily it still had trap on, so when Koga did unfortunately faint, I couldn't quite get the healing in there quick enough. There was enough going on that it was going to take that one down as well. So usually I do like to go poison, 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 because that's the order they're going to attack in, and trap, trap, trap. When you've only got 4 on your move gauge, you do have to be a bit clever, so I went for poison, trap, and then it was speed boost, trap, and I didn't quite get around to hitting that one with poison because I forgot. But I was very happy with how that worked out. It goes to show that if you are running a poison trap in some situations, you don't need to just whack up the health and whack up the defense, you can go with strength instead. When you get onto round 2, the condition is that any field effects set by either team are permanent. I noticed that Bruno was weak to psychic types this week, so I decided to take him on in round 2, and the team I chose was Bianca and Marshuna, Sabrina and Alakazam, and Jasmine and Steelix. And this team puts out a lot of field effects. So Bianca does Psychic Field, Sabrina does Reflect, which is going to reduce physical damage, and Jasmine has Clang, which is going to give you crit hit protection, and it prevents your side from losing any stats. So it's like lots of things going on when you get round to setting all of them. On my first attempt, I put Mew into my team, thinking he was going to be a bit of a sync nuker. It didn't quite work how I was hoping it would. I always get a bit caught between, oh, I'm going to use Mew as my sync nuker, but then I want to be using him for stat reductions as well. And then if I'm using Psychic after it's sync, can I also use a 2-bar move? So I swapped in Jasmine for her raising defense and also for Clang, which is going to keep your move bar topped up as well. And so when you're using Bianca, you want to set Psychic Field, you want to use her trainer move, which is going to raise stats. You want to use as many moves that are going to raise her stats as possible, because when you come around to using stored power, the more you've had stat raises, the more damage it's going to do. She's not necessarily a sync nuker. She can do a lot of damage with her sync move, but I'd more be leaning towards using Jasmine while she's still upright for that, because she gets rejuvenation and gets some health back from her sync move. And with Sabrina in there, you can raise your crit hit rate across your team. You can also use Sixth Sense to do a bit of healing when you need to. If you use it on Bianca in the middle, that's going to be more stat raises, so Stored Power does even more damage. And you should be able to come through quite comfortably with that team, because there's a lot of damage reduction from your side, and Bianca's going to put out a lot of damage herself. In round 3, you get a sync move countdown reduction. I chose to take on Koga for this one. Sync move countdown reduction is always good when you've got a 6x in your team, because it means that you get to that first sync move more quickly, you get that 6x boost, and it lasts for much longer. So I went with 2 6x's in my team. I went with Skylar and Swanna, Rosa and Superior, and Kyurem and Getsis. I said previously, the last time, it was an ice type, that I don't have many good ice type strikers. That was before I discovered the potential of Kyurem, both with Glaciate and as a bit of a sync striker. And he is very viable in that move. Obviously, Glaciate is a 4-bar move, but it hits everyone. If you grid him in the right way, you can also do freeze with that, so that's why I have no status. So that's why I didn't use no status conditions for this round, because you can get some freezing going on in there. If you do get a couple of bouts of freezing, it's going to make this one a lot easier for you. Rosa is a very good friend to Kyurem as well, because she has raising special attack. She also has time to energize, which is going to refresh the move bar, and that comes in very useful when you're using a 4-bar move. So once she's used her sync move and her other trainer moves, you can use time to energize so that you can keep using that Glaciate and trying to get as much freezing and as much damage in there as possible. Obviously, Skylar is going to raise defense. I think most of Koga's attacks are going to be physical attacks, raises speed as well. I don't think Kyurem has inertia, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. But she's also got her potions. If you've got move gauge refresh on Gust, that's always helpful as well. And it took me a couple of attempts to get this one down, but in the end I was able to have my little shieldy walking stick as well and pop Koga with it enough times to take him down. When you come to round 4, stat lowering is going to be much more effective. I had always planned on taking on Karen with this one, because I wanted to use a team of both Lycanrocs and then another support. The support I ended up going with was Onyx, because he can raise his own defense and he has potions as well. He's got a 1-bar move and a 2-bar move, so that's going to come in handy in terms of using the move bar. And the reason I wanted stat reductions on this one is for Kukui and his Lycanroc to be using Leer. That's going to lower the defense. That plays very well with Olivia and her Lycanroc to come in with a big Stone Edge and her sync move as well. I know a lot of people use Kukui to do flinching. I always like to lower the defense first and then go in with the flinching. Maybe if I was a bit clever, I would do the flinching and then use the time in between with the Leers, but we'll try it another time. So Kukui did faint before he had time to use many of his Accelerocs. I didn't quite manage to get in there and heal Lycanroc quickly enough. Olivia's Lycanroc, God, that's going to be confusing. Olivia's Lycanroc, I didn't quite get to heal, so when the side Pokemon were using their 3-bar moves that hit everyone, that took Lycanroc down. It was low on health after the sync move. But credit to Brock and Onyx, they stayed in there. They managed to tank their way through against, I want to say, Umbreon. Had a couple of potions left to keep themselves top. Came in with a big sync move, and then I think it was a Rock Tomb to win the day for the team. So, although he never opens his eyes, good job, Brock. And having done all that work, you come on to the champion, which is Lance. His condition this week is the stats raised by sync moves are doubled. I chose the optional condition of field effects are permanent. I had a plan to use that with Signasuit Blue and Blastoise. I thought that to the top would keep the move bar going up quickly, raise crit hit rate. I changed my tactics between that and choosing my team though, so I ended up with a team of Zacian and Gloria, Player and Solgaleo, and Hilbert and Oshawott, which didn't really play in with the condition that I'd chosen, so a bit of a dummy there. And the reason I went with 2 strikers was I wanted to use a bit of Solgaleo. It's come back into an event this week and now it's got a grid, so I was like, yeah, Team Solgaleo, show us what you can do! It wasn't my smartest move. I would have done a lot better if I'd have just stuck with Solgaleo or with Zacian and added another either support or tech pair in there to do something funky. I would have also done a lot better if I would have gone with the sync move countdown reduction. So this would have worked well in 2 ways. If you have a 6x support, you can use that first, as I said in the previous round when it was on earlier. And Zacian becomes a lot more effective when the opponent has used their sync move. So it works both ways. So you can use your 6x without wasting the full potential of Zacian, and then the opponent will get their sync move in before you can use your second one, which is fine because that works well into what Gloria's trying to do and you hit harder all the way through. But I did manage to get it to work. I think Gloria did faint and it was up to Solgaleo to win the day for the team, and wouldn't you know it, Solgaleo did the job. He devoured not only the sun, but also Lance and all of his cronies. So there you have it, another 7,500 point run for Master Mode. Hopefully you've watched enough of my videos that you can see the tactics that I'm going for. Even if you don't have the same pairs that I do, you're able to apply a lot of the ideas that I'm putting out to the sync pairs that you do have, and maybe even coming up with better tactics than mine. If you do come up with any better tactics that are inspired by me, please let me know. Oh, and I'll tell you what, as a little incentive, if you do, I'll put your teams up here on the Hall of Fame or on the winner's podium, and you can show off and be like, hey, I was in a video for a very, very small YouTuber. But with Champion Stadium done, it's no time to rest on our laurels. We've still got the Masters of Land and Sea event going up. That ends in the next week. So make sure that you get through that and you work through all of the rewards that you want for that one. Don't think, oh, I've got plenty of time, because now you don't. You only have less than a week left. So make sure you get in and you finish that one off. So the Ancient Brawl event came out after I'd recorded last week's video. That's why I didn't talk about it last week, but I'm free to talk about it this week because I've actually been able to play through it now. Otherwise it would have been, oh, this came out a few hours ago, don't know much about it. This has been a super tough event, and what makes it so tough is it's almost an artificial limit on using Hoenn pairs. So you can use other pairs, but they're a lot weaker than the Hoenn pairs. All the Hoenn pairs get a 5 times boost to their key stats, so it almost forces you to choose them. And because the other pairs don't have that boost, most of them are going to faint in only 1 or 2 attacks. So it's really like, they're not going to be able to make full usage of their kit in that time, so what's the point in having them? You can also tell it was kind of blatantly set up to make people try and pull for Koga and Groudon, and I don't really like that. Me personally, I found Archie easier to take down than Maxi. I was able to put my own sort of strategy together for that and get it to work once and then refine it from reading what other people had done. But for Archie, no, Maxi with Groudon, I think that's the right way around, I get them so confused. Maxi and Groudon, I did have to look up a couple of strategies and find one that worked for me. So for Archie, I used Sceptile, which I have at 6x. I used Salamence and Wallace and Milotic. You want to have Salamence as your first target, Wallace as your second target, and then obviously Brendan and Sceptile third. I did have to do a little bit of regridding for this one. The biggest change I made was having Bullet Seed cause flinching, and the thinking was the move gauge doesn't fill all that quickly, and if you can get a flinch on one of the Empoleons when it comes down to it, it maybe puts you ahead of the game a little bit. So with Brendan, you want to use no turning back first to raise the stats. You then want to raise his critical hit rates with his next two moves. Wallace, you want to use his trainer move, which if you have Inspire Ire is going to make them target him. It's also going to give him endurance, which is going to come in useful later. Then you want to use Whirlpool. I did it first on the Empoleon on the right because he's going to attack. He's going to have the next attack after you've used it. Then you do Kyogre in the middle, and then you do the other Empoleon. Salamence, you raise special defense with its first two moves. I would then use Dragon Claw to try and get paralysis on the Empoleon on the left, because that's the one that's going to attack soonest after you've done it, and just try and get that paralysis on there. Maybe if you're lucky it's going to miss an attack. I went with Wallace with the first sync move because you can grid him to have Rejuvenate. That's going to give him some of his health back. Kyogre isn't really the main damage dealer here if you can take him down soon enough. It's the two Empoleons that are going to be the irritating ones because they have tough skin, which is going to mean any damage that's not what they're weak to is going to be like cut in half, which is super annoying. So you might want to use Leaf Storm and try and focus down Kyogre after you've used your first sync move. If you're doing it right, you should be able to take him down with your second sync move or the move after it. Hopefully Salamence isn't going to be taken out by Kyogre's sync move. It's unlikely that you're going to take Kyogre down using this strategy before it syncs. And then once Kyogre is down, it's just a case of doing Bullet Seed to those two Empoleons and slogging through and hope that you can do enough damage and maybe get some flinching in there to take them down before they take you down. Hopefully as well you save your hard to starboard for after you've used your first sync move, because that's when Brendan's going to start attacking and he's going to need that move gauge refresh a lot more then than before the first sync move. And then for Maxi, I was using a team of May, Winona and Liza. So Liza's going to be raising stats. So May, you want to use her trainer moves to raise her special attack and crit rate, and then Winona's in there to do Rain Dance and stop the boost that the other team gets from the sun, and also keep May with Racing Rain and that move gauge filling up quickly. After that, you're going to want to use Air Slash at the Charizard on the right. If you're lucky, you're going to get a flinch in there, and that will put you a little bit ahead in terms of getting down to your sync move. All of your sync moves are going to be with May in this one. Once she's raised her stats, it's just Muddy Water all the way through. Sometimes Liza is going to get burned. That's unfortunate. As long as you're using trainer moves, it shouldn't do too much to you, but it's up to you whether you want to attack and take that extra burn damage while she's there. The plus is that you get to that sync move more quickly. The minus is that she's going to faint a lot more quickly. I would also say beware when you see Solar Beam queued up with Groudon, beware of trying to get that to flinch, because the Charizard next to it is going to use Sunny Day, and if you're counting on that sync move to have that rain boost, you might be a bit scuppered. But hopefully May's going to take down that Groudon with two sync moves, and then it's just a case of using Muddy Water and trying to get those two Charizards to faint. They're immune to stat reductions, they've got evasiveness as well, so it's kind of down to the RNG there. If you hit enough of them, you'll be alright. If you don't, you're gonna be bugged. But hopefully you'll get through it enough times that you can claim the pins and get the gems as a reward from that. As I say, very tough event this one. and kind of reliant on having the right sync pairs. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the subreddit, and that has a lot of different strategies that you might want to try employing. Hopefully that'll be helpful to you as well. I predicted it last week and I was a few days out, but the Battle Villa has now reopened. I wish you good luck in slogging through the 30 halls there. For me, Heliolisk and Clement is always my favourite in the early rounds, because with Parabolic Charge it's going to hit all enemies and it's going to get health back. I usually pair it with Barry because he's got a 1-bar move, and Skylar, she's got Gust, and that's going to refresh, and then Barry's just going to use sync moves. I've got Barry at 6x now, so that's working really well. So it's hitting all of them. I like it. There's a new chapter in the main story as well. We're on to the semi-finals. That's the only thing I'm going to say about it. No spoilers from me. You can get yourself a new legendary Pokemon if you don't have it already. You can get yourself a new legendary Pokemon if you don't have it already, because the beast that devours the sun is back. You can pair up with Solgaleo as the main player and add them to your team. It's a rerun of a previous event, so if you've gone through it before, you get like lots of 3-star tickets, and you can trade in the vouchers as well. Solgaleo also now gets a grid, which is good. It's got quite a few different options. There's nothing really that makes it a major sync nuker, other than the amount that the special defense of the other team has been lowered. So that's kind of down to them, and not so much down to yourself, unless you specifically grid construct your team to be lowering special defense. And as free strikers go, Solgaleo is a pretty decent one. If you've not been able to pull for Steven, Rayhan or Gloria, you won't be too far behind if you've got Solgaleo as your main steel striker on your team. The other thing about this event is that it lasts until the 26th of July, so you don't have to rush in there and be like, oh, I've got to get it all done straight away. You can afford to take your time, maybe complete it at a time when there are fewer events going on and you've got more stamina to burn. And now Entei is back in the Legendary Arena. I remember Entei was the very first one when they launched the Legendary Arena, and it introduced me to the Barry Bomb, which is definitely one of my favourite things in the game. Entei is weak to Water type, which is good because there are a lot of strong Water type pairings in there. As strikers go, you can use Barry, and you've got Palkia as well in there. For tech types, you've got May and Wallace, so they have lots of different options as well. In terms of support, you've got Misty, you've got Hilbert and Oshawott, you've got Signasuit Blue and Blastoise, so plenty of things to choose from there. So the completion rewards are 3 Hoenn types, 3 gym leaders, 3 water types. And my first team was May, Phoebe and Wallace. All 3 of them are Hoenn pairs. One of them is also a gym leader as well. I think it's Wallace, but that sets you up pretty well. You've got May as a rain setter and a sync nuker. You've got Wallace, who's going to be setting trap, and then Phoebe gets protection from critical hits and raises everyone's critical hits as well. For my second team, I went with Skylar, Barry and Hilbert. Skylar's a gym leader, so that's 2 of those already. Barry and Hilbert are both water types, so there's four water types already, so you don't really need to struggle on that one. And honestly, I could have finished it with that second pairing. Barry as a striker is just that damn good. I got him down onto the 3rd stage for Entei, and I kind of stopped attacking with Barry because I was like, I still need to fit one more gym leader in there. I kind of don't want to be, doing loads of damage. So I was doing bubble and thinking, oh, don't fade Entei. Like when you used to try and catch a legendary Pokemon and you were trying to get them down to that, you didn't want to make them faint. It's like, oh, don't die. On reflection, I should have had that as my finishing pair, but you live, you learn. And then for the final team, I used Palkia as the striker, Rosa to raise his special defense. I said the two of them work well together. No, sorry, that was Jiren, but they also work very well together because Rosa raises special attack and boosts the move gauge. The third one I took in there was Jasmine and Steelix. She was the third gym leader I needed. I had her as the first target to raise defense. I had Rosa sync first to get the 6x boost in there. Probably should have gone with Palkia as the first one because he gets a crit hit rate boost after his sync move, and it's only when he gets his crit hits in there that he starts doing real damage. Luckily I used him for the second sync move and it did a lot of damage, and I only needed one more attack after that to take Entei down, which was lucky because he didn't have much health left and I don't know if I could have taken another attack. But I managed to get through it and get all of the rewards, which is what this legendary arena is all about. The final thing that was launched this week was the Battle Points daily rotation, so it moves to a different region each day. You have 3 levels to choose from. Obviously the highest level gives you more rewards. I did today's one and it wasn't too difficult. I managed to do it without too much consternation, and so I was saying a couple of weeks ago we need more ways to get points from it, and there you go. I'm a psychic. I'm a psychic type, yeah? You see me in the game with Slowbro because he's a bro and I'm slow. God, I'm stupid. And that was another week that was. Busy one. I think next week's going to be equally as busy. But you're well past the 90-second mark at this point. Hopefully in the however long this video is, you found some things that you quite liked. You can subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter if that is the case, and you'll see notifications for future videos. And hopefully you'll join me next week for the week that will be. But thank you very much for watching this one, and goodbye.